The digital nomad lifestyle doesn't have to mean hostel hopping or losing routine. I moved to Spain because I wanted freedom, not to just travel, but to live well, to have a home base, a community, and still be able to hop on a plane to Greece next weekend. This is how I'm designing that life. Okay, so why did I need a shift? There really wasn't anywhere in the US that really resonated with me. I was tired of Los Angeles. I really wanted out. I started thinking about other cities like Houston, Austin, even San Francisco. I even considered the East Coast, but I hate the cold, just not a fan of it whatsoever. And New York, way too expensive anyways. So I was just thinking anywhere else didn't really feel exciting. After living in LA, I just felt like I couldn't go lower than that. And I loved how much there was to do in LA, but I didn't want to trade that for a city where there wasn't as much. And I would be bored, essentially. But I was also exhausted. The traffic was insane. Seeing friends could take 40 minutes to an hour just to get there. There's no real public transportation, and simple things like finding a decent gym was super annoying. The gym that I had and the one that I liked was 30 minutes of a drive. Everything just felt difficult, everything was expensive, and even the nightlife started to just feel like it was dying out. And listen, yeah, LA is fun in the summer, but so is Michigan. I wanted to live somewhere that was fun year round, not just for 3 months. A lot of people try and rebuttal all of my arguments by saying, oh, that's just what it's like during the winter because no one's outside and et cetera, et cetera. No, it doesn't work like that. On top of that, I was hating my job. I'll talk more about this in another video, but long story short, it was slow, boring, and soul-sucking. I felt like I wasn't growing either. Projects that should have taken a month were dragging on for almost a year. And the crazy part was that I was moving faster in my own business. I was building things, learning quickly, solving actual real problems. So when I'd go back to my 9 to 5 and get assigned to something basic, I was always like, why am I here? That job also robbed me of all balance. They told me that it was remote while interviewing, but then turned around and said I had to come into the office 3 times a week. The office was 83 miles away. Each trip there was about an hour and a half and then 2 hours back. And I had anxiety even just thinking about going into the office beforehand. So it was just too much. I wasn't cooking, I wasn't working out, I wasn't eating that much. I really wasn't living. So it was terrible. Okay, so let's talk about money. LA is expensive, like insanely expensive. I got to the point where just making plans with friends gave me anxiety because I didn't know how much I was going to end up spending. I'm not talking about like $30 or $40. I'm talking maybe, $120, $150 just to go out and have a decent night. And it's not even that hard to do. Like, think about it. You just go to a bar, get a few drinks, maybe dinner, and boom, that is gone. So yeah, I wanted to cut costs, but more than that, I wanted to stop feeling stuck. So why Spain, right? Essentially with all of this, Spain came into the picture. I had already spent time there, April and September of 2024. In April, I had been to Madrid, Barcelona, Cordoba. I loved Madrid the most. So in September, I went on a solo trip through Europe, typically Western Europe, just to compare other cities like London, Amsterdam, Paris, Geneva, Lyon, San Sebastian. And after all of that, Madrid still stood out. It just felt like a place where I could actually live. Public transportation is great. The city is walkable. Third spaces like cafes, bars, co-working spots are everywhere. People actually prioritize people here. So you can go out and get a glass of wine for 3 or 4 euros, maybe, max, and then meet a friend in 20 minutes without a car and actually enjoy your life without spending half of your paycheck. Crazy, right? And the regional diversity in Spain is actually super amazing. I love it. Each area has its own culture, its own vibe, even different accents. It just felt rich with character and possibility. So that's why I'm here. So yeah, the decision ultimately felt right. I didn't just wake up and decide to move and just go ahead and do it. I planned it over a year and a half. I made the decision and then slowly built out my exit plan. Essentially, I started by setting a date. I just booked the flight, and that flight was July 17th. And then I worked backwards from there because that was my deadline. I had to find a place to live, prep my business, get rid of my car, quit my job, say goodbye to friends, essentially get all of my things done. So the visa logistics and what that looked like, it was actually very messy. I thought I could apply from within the US, but the LA consulate is a black hole. There's no responses, it has a terrible website, there was no clarity on what to do. So I just went with a Spanish company with immigration lawyers that do it for you. I started the process from within the States, but the application isn't submitted until you get to Spain, and turns out that's what most people do anyway. It's more common to apply within the country and ends up being a 3-year visa instead of just the 1 year that you'd get from applying from the States. Okay, so what did balancing all of that work look like? Well, first off, the move was really expensive. There were so many one-time costs to deal with: lawyers, setting up systems for my business, paying for automation tools, my car, the move, the apartment, so many things. And during that time, I was essentially working nonstop so I could afford it. Some days I'd forget to eat. I'd wake up, start working immediately, and the next thing I knew, it was 9 p.m. and I had a headache because I was not eating. It wasn't healthy, but that's how focused I was. I was building something I cared about, and that kind of passion can literally override all of your usual signals, especially for like a ADHD brain like mine. Therapy also really helped me keep everything balanced and all together. I've been in therapy for like over 3 years now, and having someone to talk to during this transition grounded me. I was anxious, overworked, and constantly planning, but I knew what I was working towards, and therapy always gave me perspective. Okay, settling in. Now that I'm here, things have started to slowly fall into place. I have a routine again, and it's great. I wake up, I do a little bit of solo work, I maybe eat breakfast, I definitely do my Spanish practice, go to the gym, maybe relax a little bit, and then later on in the day, I start my meetings around 4 or 5 p.m. Since most of my clients are in the US, and because of that, it's typically around that time and can go till around 10 or 11 at night, which I know sounds wild, but one thing that's very beneficial about Madrid is that it is a late city. It's not atypical to see people go to dinner around 9, 10, or 11 p.m. So another major focus for me has been learning Spanish. I've got a tutor I meet with every single day. I'm using Duolingo, real-world conversations, and tools like ChatGPT to practice. So for me, being immersed in the language is really helping me learn and pick things up fast. And even though it's a challenge, it's one that I'm excited to take on. I'm also observing the culture as I go. Little by little, I'm adjusting to how late everything starts here. Dinners at 11 p.m., clubs that don't get busy until 2 a.m. It's wild, but I'm adapting, like literally. When I say 2 a.m., I'm not lying. I went out with friends and we got to somewhere. We met up at 1, we got somewhere at 2, and they were like, oh, damn, we're early. I looked at them like, what? Huh? Early? And people literally stay out until 6 a.m. And then there's even after party spots that go till 1 p.m. the next day. And that's just the norm. To me, I was just, I just need to get used to that. But definitely a crazy adjustment. Places in Los Angeles close at 2 a.m. Sometimes even earlier at like 1:30. So, oh my goodness, had to get used to it. Okay, a great thing too is that I found an office space to work at, which helps me separate work and my life. It's been really hot this summer though, 100 degrees Fahrenheit hot, and so sometimes I just kind of decide to stay in the house. I do have a separate office space, which is nice, but yeah, typically I try and go into the office. It's just really hot. I've also had some hiccups. My apartment had a mildew and humidity issue the first week I got here. They chipped away the walls, and then there was dust everywhere. There was cleaners, and then the AC was broken. A lot of things that made me super uncomfortable. And so, it was just very difficult to get adjusted at the beginning. Now that we're in a better spot, it's getting, easier, and I'm getting through it. I'm feeling a lot more comfortable, but there was definitely some small hiccups at the beginning. Even one night I got my food that I ordered on Uber Eats stolen. Random things. So it is what it is, but we're getting adjusted. Okay, so building community. I've been slowly putting myself out there, and I made one rule. Just anytime I leave the house, go to something, try to have at least one conversation at every event. That's helped me meet people at Afrobeat events. I'm gonna go to language exchanges, co-working mixers, and my goal isn't to rush into friendships, but really just to show up, be open, and try and let that community form naturally. So here's what I've learned so far. For one, moving is hard. Moving internationally is very hard, and that's okay. I didn't give myself enough credit at first, but this isn't just a move. It's a completely different life that I'm redesigning, and that's not easy. I think I just needed to give myself a little bit of credit there, and I know it kind of sounds corny, but truly, I think giving yourself credit for doing something so difficult and complicated that not everyone can even do themselves really does feel rewarding. So that's one, give yourself credit. Number two is a really important one for me. Freedom isn't about movement, it's about control. It's not just about working remotely, it's about having the autonomy to set your hours, choose your projects, and live life on your own terms. All of those things were just taken away from me with my job beforehand, especially with the balance. Number three is that community makes this sustainable. There will be lonely moments. I've had a couple myself, but if you keep putting yourself out there, you'll eventually find your people. Number four is that you can truly learn anything. And I love this one because a lot of the skills that I learned, even with this move in developing my business, I didn't know beforehand, and I don't know if I would be able to find all of those resources without the help of the internet, right? So you can figure out visas, business laws, languages, even things about the culture that you didn't know beforehand. We're in a different age, so everything is figure outable if you stay curious and committed. This right here is definitely a very important tip for other aspiring digital nomads or digital creatives. If you're planning a move like this, don't just think about what looks good on paper, like, oh, it would be really cool if I lived in Lisbon or something like that. Think about where your lifestyle will thrive. Literally make a list of your perfect day, your perfect routine, what a good day would look like for you that's balanced based on your values, and then work backwards from there. Once you do that, you'll be able to determine what the qualities of a city that you love is, and then pick from there. And not only that, but say it's something that you want to continuously doing, like jump from one city to another, it'll at least tell you what regions of the world or areas that you can travel out of curiosity or out of values that align with what your days look like, who you are as a person, and the type of things you'd like to do. So if you're thinking about moving abroad or going remote full-time, drop your questions in the comments. I'm responding to all of them. And if you're wondering about how I built a freelance business that lets me live this way, make sure you subscribe so you can see for yourself and follow along the journey. Other than that, I will see you in the next one.